Where did I start? I started, well, you should be asking me these things.
When did you start playing the bass? How did you get into the bass?
Yeah, that's exactly what I reckon. Started at school when I was about 13. And basically it was with my mate whose brother had a couple of instruments at his house. And we used to kind of like go at lunchtime at school, lunchtime school, because he lived around the corner, and we used to go round to his house and try to be like rock stars. We used to love Status Quo. So like, you know, we were there jamming with guitars and stuff and a bass to Status Quo, and that's how we started. And we called our band Blue Cross. And we were really proud of it at the time, you know, so it was like, you know, that was the name of the band and that's how we started. So I didn't have a bass at the time, and his brother was a kind of really amazing guitarist, his older brother, and basically he had a band and we used to use whatever was in his room at the time, so he'd always find his guitar, and at one time a mate of his left his bass there. So I had a little play on that, I was just totally blown away, and that was it. Yeah. Had to go on that for a little while, and basically it disappeared, and that was the last time I saw it. So that was about 13, I think, and yeah, I quite enjoyed that. I thought I got a little taster for it. Yeah. I wanted more. So my dad decided to go and buy me a guitar, like an acoustic guitar like that. And I was like, all right, Bert Weedon guitar book. And I was like, I just cannot get to this. I thought, you know, I just don't feel it. You know, learning chords and stuff, playing guitar, it's just what I need. So basically what I did, I took the E and the B string off, and then I cut the bridge and widened the strings on the guitar and spread it a bit wider so it became a bass.
Oh, wow.
With the strings, and that's how I started to play.
Wow.
And my dad wasn't too pleased about it. He's paid a $5 for it. It was a lot of money right back then, and he was a bit peeved by the idea of that. But he kind of understood that's where I was going, so that's how I started to play bass. Wow. Yeah, so makeshift. I should have been a luthier, like I was saying before. I'm in the wrong game. I should be making them. But yeah, that's how I started.
So who was your main influence when you first started?
Phil Lynott.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, I like Phil Lynott. It was quite amazing to see him for the first time in the box. Like, you know, there was this black guy with a guitar, noisy, raunchy, singing, smashing bass, and I was just completely blown away by it. I was a big Quo fan, and I used to play a lot of Quo, like Alan Lancaster. Yeah, a bit of a master when it comes to like steady rock, and I really kind of loved. That was my first thing. Yeah, that was a long time ago. So I kind of like played to Status Quo quite a lot of the time.
Because he played a Mustang, didn't he, bass?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, with the old kind of shiny chrome plated kind of scratch player. That was it. I was blown away. I was like, oh God, you know. Yeah.
So what was the first pro band you played with?
First pro band was my own band, really. Okay. And that was later. When I was about 20, we set up a band in the council estate. I'm from Hackney originally, in London, and met a few mates who had the same sort of interest of wanting to become musicians, wanted to be pop stars, you know. So we kind of got together. My mate was a singer who ended up being a singer in the band. Seventh Heaven, we were called.
Cool.
Seventh Heaven.
Okay.
And he wanted to be a drummer, and I said, no, you can sing. He started singing, and there's another singer, and we kind of formed this band. And we had this youth club in Hackney that we used to always go to. And one day the youth club leader came up to us and said, oh, I see you boys are really interested in music. Come down into the basement. So he went down to the basement, and in the corner there was a blanket over some kit. Pulled the kit back, and it was an old drum kit, knackered old guitar and bass. Wow. He said, if you can clean that up, you can use it.
Oh, great.
And that's how we started. Just like jamming in the garage once a week.
Wow.
And that was it. We just knew that we were stuck. You know, we got bitten.
Yeah.
Severely bitten. Yeah.
How long did that band last for?
We lasted till about 1988.
Right.
Yeah, it was about
Did you actually
together.
get signed with that band? Or?
Yeah, we got signed.
Yeah.
Story is that when we used to rehearse, we started to rehearse young and we wanted to experience a rehearsal room. So we lived in Clapton, which I don't know anyone knows London at all.
My daughters.
Yeah. So in Hackney, it's Hackney Marshes, very famous place for football, biggest kind of array of football pitches in London, or in Europe actually. So we used to walk from there all the way to London Bridge every day.
Wow.
And because it was the cheapest rehearsal room we could find, it was a £5 for the whole thing,
Yeah,
like for about 3 hours.
The whole session, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we did that. And a bloke saw us, you know, oops, sorry.
Wake up, Malcolm.
And told us to get out. It's what happens when you come to Ashburn and get like our friends in the middle of the night. So we got back, we were doing that for about a month or so. And the guy actually owned the studio kind of heard us through the door. He says, I think you boys are really interesting, like, you know, you really should keep this going. And we were like, yeah, you know, we just can't get up, we can't afford it. He said, well, you can rehearse here for free. One of you could work here, running the counter, you know, reception and just minding the reception, but the band can rehearse here for free. And then we were like, amazing. We can actually do something like without struggling, and we could save that £5 to get a bus to get us back and forth. And the guy who had the studio was Lenny Zakatak. And Lenny Zakatak, he sung with Gonzalez, that Haven't Stopped Dancing Yet, the disco track. And he was, after a while we realised that he sung with Alan Parsons' project. He was one of the original singers for that. And he was totally into us, you know. He heard one of our songs that we rehearsed a lot, and he said, that one, I like that, man, I like that. Work on that. And then he started to introduce us to people, you know, producers and different songwriters and stuff, and how to kind of create songs.
And so did people kind of, when you work with people, did they sort of help you, you know, point out what was working, what wasn't working?
I think it was a freedom at first of like be able to express yourself of what you're trying to achieve now on your own. So the guiding what we had, you know what I mean, and making it stronger for us.
Yeah.
And as we came to a certain level, then he would say like, oh, I've got somebody in to come and talk to you and help you arrange it. You know, I like what you're doing, but this maybe could go here, the chorus could be a bit longer, what's the melody doing? You know, things like that.
Yeah.
And then one thing led to another.
Yeah.
And he got us in the studio. We were recorded in the studio, and it was quite incredible. He somehow blagged Abbey Road, and we recorded in Studio One in Abbey Road. I think it must have been the Alan Parsons project connection. Yeah. And we were completely blown away. We recorded our first single on our own backs with the help of him. He went to the bank manager, got a loan off the bank manager saying, well, I've got this great band, I need to do some demos, needed some money to do some white labels so he can get out and distribute.
Yeah.
And that's how it all kind of tailed in, and one thing after another. We released the first single, did a little video for it in Benbourne Park in Margate. First thing in the morning, going up Hell's Gate at 5 o'clock in the morning. Well, very good. And next thing it was picked up on TV and radio. Bruno Brooks picked it up, said about like this band from Hackney, these young boys from Hackney getting out there, really interesting, good vibes. And next thing it was in number 47 in the national charts. Yeah, it was quite incredible really. It was a bit like, you know, young boys from a council estate, all of a sudden like, you know, struggling to get to rehearsals. Next thing doing a little video, and next thing we're on Top of Pops.
When did you like find out that you moved into the profession where you were actually contracted and there were things you had to do and stuff you'd signed, and how did you find that process? Did you sort of get a deal that you wanted, or were you uneasy, or were you ignorant about what you'd signed?
Oh, we were pretty ignorant about what was going on. It was kind of like we were savvy about it, but we were so excitable and so excited. This is incredible, you know what I mean? We were like, you know, we were in the backwater of Hackney, to all of a sudden being kind of popular band and people wanted to come and see us. Yeah, it was on that. I mean, whatever you want, whatever.
And did it work out well, or did it come back and bite you?
Oh, it came back and bit us.
It seems
severely,
like
but,
most people, the first contract they sign, it's like a monster that comes and does it.
Because the 80s, I think, the early 80s, it was like a lot of money was flying about.
Yeah.
Record companies were quite easily just chucking money at people. And you never realise that the fact that they're chucking the money that they're going to get back. And if you're not doing it, they're going to get dropped. Simple as that. But we survived, and for a little while, we ended up doing really some amazing support gigs. We supported like the SOS Band, Cool and the Gang, Womack and a few bits of TV and stuff like that. It's quite amazing.
Yeah. Good experience playing big stages, from coming from Hackney, and then you
I know.
that
We
journey.
played like a little tiny old library called Chatter's Palace, and that was our first ever gig. The next one we were playing like that was cool.
Yeah.
So it was a bit kind of like whoa, It was really exciting times, we were young.
Yeah.
And really, this is what we've always dreamt of, and here it is in your face.
Yeah.
So you never really comprehend about what it's going to take and what's going to happen with it. You're just in the moment at the time.
So what genre was it then? What genre? What type of
It was like pop, funk, rock.
No, funk.
Yeah, like a funk rock kind of vibe.
And what do you
Very
think
poppy.
what was the thing that was pushing it forward? The vocals or the strength of the songs, or what do you think?
I think it was all three of those actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, good singers,
Good singer.
good lyrics,
Mm.
good arrangements, different kind of, it was a bit like, who's done Cuddly Toy? I'm trying to remember, it's Roachford. Have you heard of Roachford?
Yeah.
We were before Roachford.
Mm.
We were doing that sort of vibe, and we were kind of,
Who was sort of influencing you at the time then? Who are you looking at?
what band was at
Yeah,
that time for us? It was like Cameo,
Oh, that kind of
yeah, that kind of vibe, looking at that kind of rocky funk. I think my kind of rock influence from an early age. And
So you got all your funk bass going at that point, didn't you? You playing those like slapping and stuff?
no, I was playing plectrum when I first started. I could
Phil
play.
Dillon played Plectrum.
Yeah, and I learned to play, and I could actually play. I didn't start playing by finger playing until about 19.
Yeah.
Okay.
But when I started, I always done plectrum.
Yeah.
So
Is that because you started on guitar?
yeah, it was because I was playing like a 4-string guitar with a plectrum. So I just continued that with bass and just went from there. So we've got your other questions again too.
Yeah, well, a question about the production then, because Cameo is quite heavily produced, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really,
We sort of learned a lot about
Precise.
the kind of hooks and the arrangements from
Yeah.
that,
and vocals
influences.
are very heavy sort of band.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
the
Yeah.
soul kind of sound.
Yeah, so that's the, then popify it a bit. And like, 3 young black guys doing it. And it was like favourable for what was going on at the time. Now we had a bit more of an edge to what, it was quite rockier, but harder than what was going on at the time.
What kind of amp were you using on stage at the time?
And paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many watts?
I don't know, it was like 400.
The 400s.
400s, yeah.
Right.
Or what I remember.
Yeah.
The monster picking it up.
So that's like a step up from when you start off. You start off with 50s and 100s, and
Yeah, I used to use a little high watt 50
yeah,
before for cab, like for Wem. Yeah. And and then it sort of went up when I could actually afford or find cheaper amps.
So did you have management at that point? Did you get
Yeah, Lenny Zakatat was our
And he was
manager.
all through?
Yeah, all the way through from when he saw us right through.
Oh, that's great, yeah.
He kind of guided us and made the right people come to work with us.
Did you have other acts as well, that guy?
No, it was just us.
Did you find that your approach to your own playing changed when you played bigger venues?
I think the nerves changed.
What
I
about
think.
sound and stuff like that? Like,
Yeah, I think you had to kind of adjust to like what you've got around you and how you're going to make that kind of fill this place up. Usually it's the engineer, but
Sure,
I just
yeah.
kind of worked with the amps I had and kind of worked to that vibe. but it's usually what your engineer is going to give you.
Yeah.
So
And when you got all that space on stage suddenly, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What's he doing over there? You know, getting used to that was like a totally different realm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what I think that's what I was wondering about. With you eventually get when you're doing the biggest gigs, you're not just with 400 watts anymore, and you get a much more subsonic sound, don't you? Like the bass kind of descends into the ground,
Yeah,
and suddenly you're not just playing a low guitar, you're playing like the whole room or something.
Yeah.
Did you find that it took time to adapt to that, to getting this great big subsonic thing instead of just bing 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 on the notes?
Yeah, you kind of, I think over the years, you develop your sound, and that was always the key. You know, why is it too boomy? What if I took out a bit of this? And you were constantly adjusting.
Yeah.
Every time until you got this sound that you could walk off with anywhere you wanted. If you're playing a little pub, you could play at the Wembley Stadium, and you still have that sound to emanate.
Yeah.
So it was a kind of process, really, one by one. Mistake, don't do that again. Oh, adjust this, adjust that, and it was just constant.
Yeah. Constant, yeah.
Until you just went, that's my sound, that's me, that's where I belong, and I'm happy with that, and I can do that anywhere.
Right.
Do you use in-ear monitoring or wedge?
I did once, and it was like, in-ears, it's just, yeah. I couldn't get used to it. I just like the flapping of my pants when you're like speakers. I feel it, you know, and you can't get that in ears. But I tried it once, and
And also, you can't talk to anybody, can you? Unless you walk up to the microphone.
no, you're not shouting at everyone.
Yeah,
It's
no
like,
recording.
yeah, you can't hear yourself properly. Yeah, I didn't like it. So I still kind of old school. Yeah, lighting monitors, both sides, sandwich. Yeah. Any other things?
So how did you end up working with Grace?
Oh, yeah. Long story. Well, I'll put it quite shorter. I did a session with a guy called I Have a Guest, and I Have a Guest is a producer. I used to work with a guy called Sean Oliver. He used to be in Rip Rig and Panic. He was a bass player at Rip Rig and Panic, who then at the time was producing and putting together Terence Trent D'Arby. So Sean used to invite me, he was a bass player, but he used to invite me to come and do all the demos. And then after a while for Terence Trent D'Arby, before he went kind of big and solo man. So he said to me, oh, I know this type of boy, right? It's in in the West End. He's got a great studio down there. We've got to do some demos, like, do you want to come and play? So we went to Sloane Square, and I met this guy, young guy, 19 at the time. He goes, oh, help yourself, you know, and they disappeared. I'm not going to tell you what they were up to, but they disappeared. So they left me to play and do all sorts of things on these demos. It was just playing through, you know, plug it in, record, play by myself. Shut it up, so I've got to catch the night bus home. Right? No answer, and I just left. And then a couple of years later, Sean passed away, and I hadn't seen him again since. End of story. 20 years later, I was on MySpace, and I looked on MySpace, I check out I Have a Guest and see if he's still alive. And on these little MySpace, I saw all these things like Sly and Robbie and Grace Jones and all these different weird musicians and stuff. I thought, put it in there. About an hour later, there's a message come back. He goes, Mel, you know, excuse my language anyway. He goes, where the fuck you been? And I ran a studio in London for 10 years, Audio Underground, and I was a partnership with setting up a warehouse and recording studio. And so, you know, I just locked myself away. I taught myself how to engineer. I taught myself how to use like Logic and recording and stuff like that, and recording bands. That was my forte. I used to like recording bands live, you know. He says, I heard you moved to Cornwall now. Carrot munching part of the world now. And I was like, yeah, all right, okay. He says, when are you in London next? And I said, you know, because I commute a lot to work in the studio. Yeah. And I said, oh, I could be here in the next couple of days. He said, I've got a proposition for you. So I went and met him, quite emotional because we lost quite a few friends in that time. So it was quite an emotional gathering. And I said, "Oh, I've seen you kind of like got Grace Jones on your page. Is she still alive?" First thing I said. And is there any tissues about this?
Yeah.
And then he said, "Yeah, I've been recording her first solo album after 25 years." And I was like, "Oh, sorry, excuse me, I'll talk to everyone around here now." Thank you. He goes, "Yeah, I've been recording her solo album, her first album in 25 years. I'm just finishing it." He played me the album, and I was totally astounded. I was like, amazing. Like, this is quite incredible. I haven't heard anything from Grace for about 25, 30 years. He said, "Oh, this is what's happening." And I thought, "Oh, great, I'm going to get to play on the album." He goes, "Oh, the album's finished." I was like, "Oh, shit. I'm not going to get on that then." And he goes, "This is a proposition, Massive Attack, a curated Meltdown Festival." I don't know if anyone's had the Meltdown Festival in London. So Massive Attack curated it, and they've invited Grace to come to perform on stage for the first time for 30 years with a band. So he goes, "You want a job?" I said, "I got a job, mate. Got me in a studio. What are you on about?" And he goes, "Do you want a job?" I said, "Yeah, right, then I'll take it on." And he said, "Right, here you go. Here's all Grace's albums. I had to learn 36 songs in 2 weeks. And I'm not a writer, I'm a listener. And I scribe it up myself, I listen, you know. And then come back, we've got 10 days of solid rehearsal, 10 till 10 for 10 days. With a band that you've never played with before. I knew a couple of the members of the band. And then we do Meltdown Festival, Royal Festival. And it was a sink or swim gig. So it's either going to happen or it's not going to happen. And it happens, and 15 years later I'm still with her. So it was, you know, it was either really. I never thought I thought he was dead himself. And it was just a chance. It was just like a MySpace conversation. Ended up me meeting him for the first time in a long time. And
Is there any movement in the baselines? Are you allowed to sort of change them at all, or are they set in stone?
Yeah, it's kind of set in stone. You can do your own things in it, but we don't want to change.
Yeah, it's all
slide
yeah.
up, slide wrong and stuff. You know, it's just like big shoes to step into. You know, and it was like, yeah, quite amazing. It was a feat, and it was man having to learn 36 songs in like less than 2 weeks. You know, scribing them out and writing.
So have you got a like long-standing partnership with a drummer in that band then?
The band now, yeah.
You know, like
Andrew
you're
McLean.
the new slime Robin.
Yeah, Andrew McLean. We're
Yeah.
one of the best bass drums in the country. Really. He used to play for the Sugar Babes when they first started. When he was really young, you know, and he's just an incredible drummer.
It's nice to have that relationship, isn't it? When you've got a drummer to play with that you really like. It's such a joy to work
We
together.
just know each other. You know, when you got that connection with the drummer, it's just like, you're right, you know, that's it. I know exactly. I can go anywhere, do what I want to do over there, and he'll always be there, and vice versa. You know, we've got a good groove. You know, really good groove.
Do you get to write any of your own bass lines for the stuff that you do with Grace?
Well, hopefully, fingers crossed, she's doing a new album, so it's coming out. It's going to be sorted out for next year, and I'm actually on it. Well, I think it was. It took the process of 12 years to do. There's so many musicians, but I've been told I'm on 2 tracks, so that's good. Yeah.
What do you reckon your strength is? Is it feel?
I'm a feel monster. Yeah, all about feel. Got a great feel.
Yeah, and that's why I think get you back.
Yeah, and I think, you know, when someone says to me, like, you know, I get lessons or people come to get playing, I always try to. Well, you can go on YouTube and you can learn it, or you can go and see another, you can go and play, you can follow a musician that you kind of inspire to, but it's not you, is it? So I kind of like working with what you have inside and try and pull that out. So I've always kind of had it, you know, I've always learned from records and stuff like that when I was starting. It's always creating records, and the first time you can actually step away and play your own bass line and create a line, that's when I started to kind of
It's not even technical stuff really.
it's not even kind of like technical. It's just how you sit into different sorts of music. And that's what, I created that feel for myself and I kind of established that. Some people were technical players, but a lot of players I know are definitely kind of feel monsters,
Yeah.
really good at what they do. Yeah. Amazing feel.
Is there a bass line that you've heard that you wish you'd written?
Funny enough, Private Life.
Oh right, okay.
It's just
Yeah.
it's just a classic line. Space.
Yeah.
And that's just, I was like, what? And having to play it with the oh yeah, that was great. Private Life is such an incredible bass line.
Do you hear drummers when you play that? Do you hear them?
Yeah, I've got a little drum machine like one. It's this
Yeah, I can hear that.
back of my head. Yeah. Not that loud, is it?
No, it was too quiet actually, so just tell me right now.
It's alright.
You alright? It's just like it's just the timing, and that's feel.
Yeah.
You can, I think how's that gonna go? What I was told with Chrissy Hine, when she went out live again, she heard Grace's version and started to play it more like hers. Yeah, she would follow, because the original Pretenders had that kind of reggae drop.
Yeah.
And then she heard Grace's, which has got bigger reggae drop, and then she went to that side. Yeah.
That's like Red Wine. That's when Neil Diamond heard UB40, he started doing their arrangement.
Yeah. And that's mad, isn't it? You always find that better, And there's so many other bass lines, it's just ridiculous. Pull Up to the Bumper, that's another classic, which I will play to you in a minute. But yeah, you do kind of, you just pick on different lines, and after a while you just start soaking them in.
Like the guy out of Chic and people like that.
Oh, Bernard Edwards. Yeah, that was a boy. That's
Do
my
you reckon
boy.
he's like top of his game?
Yeah, he was quite an incredible player. And like for disco at the time, he had all the lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really broke the mold. Didn't
He did just smashed it,
Yeah.
He put it on the map, and he
Yeah.
was, as a producer and arranger as well, he was
Yeah.
bass lines very simple,
Yeah, but complicated.
effective but complicated.
Yeah.
Any other questions? They all gone quiet. Yeah. Typical bass player.
Hey, what do you think of something like Victor Root?
Victor Wooten's amazing. I like Victor Wooten's style. I like his attitude.
Because it seems to me there's nothing he can't do.
Yeah, but it's like, there was one time he said, when you play bass, there's never any wrong notes.
No,
There's never a wrong note. There's nothing wrong you ever do. Whatever you play is never wrong.
Like jazz.
Yeah, well, it's jazz. When I was a youngster, I used to say, oh, jazz, I go, what, those old boys, you'd like bang, being kicked down the stairs. Yeah, one of those bands, yeah. But, Victor's good on that. He can play anything.
Yeah.
But he said, no, whatever you play is right. There's never a wrong playing. There's never a wrong note. Yeah, Victor, yeah.
Did you find it difficult to go from the fretted bass to a fretless?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, fretless, I wish I had one. I did play one, but I've never...
It's just I saw one. Is that fretless? I can see.
Oh, yeah, behind me.
I thought you were going to pick it up for a moment.
Oh, no. Practices for me, I love the sound and stuff, and if I would be like octave divider, chorus, and just having fun.
Okay.
Do you use sort of pedals when you live and stuff?
Not really.
Yeah.
You know, I got an octave divider and a chorus and a little preamp for my other bass,
Yeah.
but I never really use it.
What's your other bass?
It's just a Fender P, a Tokai P bass,
Oh,
16
right,
years
okay.
old with a
Oh yeah.
jazz neck on it.
Yeah.
Do you have any like essential bass kit things that you need?
Oh yeah, what you take with you,
Yeah.
your little screwdriver, gaffer tape, pliers, a set of Allen keys just in case for necks, spare batteries, spare strings, spare straps, spare locking nuts. It could go on. You know, yeah, it's good to have a kit, you know, all the time because anything can go wrong.
Do you have your own bass tech when you're on tour?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I worked hard for that. The days of picking up amps and doing my own shit, it was like over. I'm like, no, I still do it. Don't worry, you know. But yeah, I do have a tech on.
How many basses when you go on tour with the Grace? How many basses do you take with you?
I only take two.
Just take two, yeah. Which is
This one
yeah.
and the Tokai.
And the Tokai, yeah. Right.
How many did you like?
5.
How do you actually use two different? Why do you have two? What's the difference?
You just get different tones, you
Just
know.
tone,
Yeah, it's a tonal thing. It's depending on what. Sometimes when Grace plays Slave to the Rhythm, it's all in E flat.
Okay.
So you know, so you like say they go ding 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 ding, and they're trying to tune it up through a gig. Just pick it up and I use that.
Did you write it on piano, or was that just a preferred key for singing?
I think what it was back in the day when she was recording it with was it Trevor Horn?
Oh yeah, I know.
The rumour is that, you know, Fairlight, which is like
Yeah.
the first modern computer programmer, they pitched it so she can sing it.
Oh okay.
So they'd written a track and they pitched it so she can actually sing on it, and it ended up being E flat. Not good for the bass player. Thanks, Grace. Well, thanks, Trevor. But Trevor's a great bass player as well, like Trevor Hall.
Yeah, I played with
Yeah. He let me play the 62 Fender position once, and I was just right on it. Right. Nice bloke.
So do you play jazz at all? Do you play Fender jazz at all?
I have done, yeah. Yeah, don't mind jazzes.
Well, that's a jazz, isn't it?
Yeah, it's effectively a jazz, yeah.
Yeah.
But I've never had a jazz.
What amplification are you on these days?
Aguilar. I use 2 of those. The DV 60 rounds. Heads, 2 of those, and 8 pretends, 2 8 pretends.
It's really great to hear there's still people that have got speakers on the stage, you know.
Oh yeah,
It's
I've got
like
monsters
it's like
on stage.
water
They
in the
play very
desert.
loud. Yeah, very old school.
Yeah,
You know, I play loud. You know, and I like loud.
yeah.
Does the rest of the band play loud, or do they have in ears, or?
No, they're pretty loud.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're pretty loud. You know, it depends what they want, and they want it as the keyboard players. But drummers are pretty loud. Guitarist is very loud, always. On the other side, so I don't have him in my monitors. I can hear him from on the other side of the drummer. Yeah, so we kind of like, yeah, pretty loud. You know, my monitor man always says, you know, Robin Toombs, he's front of house for the light, what do they call it again? What do they call them? Rock band. Oh, what do they call Not the lightning, something like
Razor light.
Razor light. That's it, you got it, thank you very much.
Yeah.
That teach me for going out last night. Yeah, razor light. But he's always said, like, the bass, keep it loud, because it just makes everyone settle into you. So the sound is just kind of like rounded off with a really loud bass. You know, because one day I just put it on, it was like Mountain, that was really loud. It was like, he goes, oh, I better turn it. No, leave it, not there. And it's stayed ever since, so yeah.
So that's just interesting because I guess that's part of your thing as a bass player as well, and what you must bring that to the band and the bands that you work with. That
Yeah.
kind of
that kind of feel. It's
Yeah.
a feel. It's
Yeah.
the way you play it, the sound you have.
Yeah.
It's a kind of it's a progression. Like people always say, what amp did you use? What pedals do you use to get that sound? I said, these.
Yeah. That's it.
That's it. If I want different tones, I use these. You know.
Yeah.
So always recommend don't go completely bonkers buying loads of pedals because it's gonna change your sound. If you haven't got the sound that you got on your hands,
Yeah.
then got to develop that.
Yeah.
When you went from playing with a pick to playing with your fingers, how difficult did you find the transition?
Difficult. It took years. I was sitting there going, and just going like that anywhere. And I did that for a couple, like 2 or 3 years, just kind of, and then got faster and faster and faster. and faster.
Okay.
Just having to use these 2 fingers.
Sure.
Then I end up using one.
Do you still play with a pick at all?
Now and again, someone says like, I want a nice choppy sound.
Okay.
I'll pick up, how about this? And I think, it brings back a bit of quote.
But it's an equally difficult technique, isn't it?
It's really hard to play.
Yeah, with a pick as well as. They're both difficult techniques, aren't they? Really?
Yeah, when I got back to it, I used to get cramp by just holding the pick.
Yeah.
You know, you get get cramp.
Okay.
What about 5-string bass?
Yeah, I like die strings. I've never owned one, but I make enough bass noise to kind of fight with a 5-string any day of the week. They're great. They're good for certain things, and 6 strings are. I'd never knock it, but I'm a traditional 4-string player.
It's like cricket,
Yeah.
6-string.
Well, yes, but they get so much better. They're actually getting the way they've designed them now, 6 strings, they're so much easier to play. It's not really my bag, really.
Do you stick to bass or do you play other instruments?
Play a little bit of guitar, play a little bit of keyboard. I wouldn't say I was any of those masters of those really.
No.
A little twinkle here and there.
But do you use your experience on other instruments to actually dictate what bass line you're going to play when you play bass?
No, bass just dictates it.
So you don't pick anything out on the keyboard, so anything on that would work well as a bass line.
No, I pick it on the bass.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then everyone else will have to follow. This is how it's going to go. Yeah, got to be kind of demanding as a bass player. Don't be shy.
What are some of your favourite venues that you've played at?
I think the most prestigious was the Albert Hall and Hollywood Bowl. We played there. That was pretty mental. I did think it was quite small actually. Is this it? It's tiny. The whole 17,000 people were like, I thinking, I thought it was going to be, because you see on telly, it's like millions of people in this amphitheatre. And that was quite nice, yeah.
And on top of that, what's like your favourite sort of sessions been? Like, maybe not like the most prestigious, but like the ones you've had the most fun in.
I did a couple of sessions from more Cheever's singer, Sky. That was amazing. It was funny because the first time I played, they let me have free reign of playing what I wanted on one particular track. And her son was there, and he was about 8, and now he's the drummer of the band. Which is quite amazing. And that was fun. Did a couple of sessions with 07. Idiot Boys. Did a couple of DJs called Idiot Boys. And they basically remixed loads of different tracks, and I used to do a lot of stuff with them. Disco numbers, band called the Neanderthals and stuff like that, back in from Norway. Worked with them. Yeah, some fun bits.
You haven't had to put up with being in lineups where the bass wasn't important very much then. It sounds like you managed to navigate places where you were really
Demanded, isn't it? That's what bass players got to do.
Yeah.
Don't listen to anyone else. You're in command of this. Sorry. Yeah. It's the truth. If it's like, if you kind of, you can kind of, like now I can go, sometimes I get a session, they say, could you play it like this? Or they say, I've got an idea, and they put on the keyboard, I say, stop playing, don't do that. Just put the track on and I'll go for it. And you just tell me what you like and what you don't. So that's what I mean by commanding it.
Yeah. So then you work out the baseline.
And they like, you know, you'll work out something that they would never have thought of.
Yeah.
And then they'd say, that's the one.
Yeah.
But if you say, oh, can you go, and you're like, what? No, don't do that, because you won't get what I'm about.
So you get the satisfaction of being there as a whole person, like you're a composer as well as a
Yeah,
player.
as well as just a player.
Yeah.
So, you know, when someone says, like, you know, there's times I just sitting there playing the bass line and feel like, God, who is that by? Well, it's me, I just made it up.
Do they give you credit for that, or do you just how do
You
you
get
arrange
credit.
that? You do. You get a writing credit.
Yeah.
If it's
Some of them, yeah.
intellectual.
You can do that.
So do you do sessions where you play the bass part down and then you hear it when it's been finished, and it sounds totally different to your own impression when you're actually in the studio?
Yeah, a little time. Sometimes you do. Sometimes you get this. Excuse me. You think, oh right, they've just manipulated it, kind of threw an envelope in it, and chopped it up a bit, because you can do that now.
Yeah.
So like you think, oh right, well, what's the point of me being there all day when I've been chopped about and rearranged
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you know had this filter or time stretched and whatever? You just think, what's the point of that?
Must be a bit weird when that happens.
It can be. You know, you just think, well, it's a bit weird, but I'm still on it.
Yeah.
It's still me, even though I've been chopped to bits and kind of reassembled. Yeah.
How old were you when you could make all your money from music? You become a full-time professional.
21, 22.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah. Actually got a wage per week.
How do you feel that music business has changed in your career? You know, like Spotify and all the rest of it. Do you feel it's healthier or it's sort of gone down the pan a bit?
I don't think it's healthier. I think the whole premise of how vinyl came out and these corporates have kind of taken a stance of, well, we can give you millions of hits, but you're not going to get paid much. I think that's a bit of a conflict there straight away. It's been like that for a few
So
years.
things like Apple and stuff, you have raw deals with them yourself.
I put out stuff on Apple or whatever, but you know, it's the certain thing you can't. You look at it and you just think, well, I can't look at that anymore. I look at it in another 6 months and I might get another tenant.
So the whole thing's sort of spread
Yeah.
out a bit too.
Yeah, it's just kind of it's just how it works, and I think artists are getting really stung by it. A lot of artists are getting, a lot of up and coming musicians are getting stung by it. You know, they think, all right, I got 300, 400,000 hits, you know, on an album. Back in the day, doing that, you were like in top 20, right? And now it just goes in the wind.
So what advice would you give to a young, starter?
Go online and sell yourself.
Yeah, like YouTube.
Like YouTube, do your own podcast, do your own little videos, get a little following of your own. You know, when you feel kind of like pretty to get, there's all different platforms like DistroKid and Spotify, all right, but DistroKid and Apple are pretty good. DistroKid is like a music platform, but basically you can put your album on it. It takes a little percentage of sales, but you can distribute the money out to everyone automatically. So, say if you kind of get this lump sum and you've got to distribute it out to all these people, you're trying to remember how much and what you signed off on, this actually does it for you. So that helps a lot. But don't be fooled by, don't be disheartened by the fact that you might not get what you want. You think, I'm getting all these hits and I'm not getting anything coming back. There's all different avenues to take to venture that way. Merchandise, gigging, going out playing a lot, doing a lot of live stuff, recordings, podcasts. Just, there's so many other ways to do it.
Would you say that the selling of merchandise at a gig has now taken over as the main source of income for a lot of bands?
I think it hasn't changed. Back in the day, when you went out at shows, it was like queues of people trying to buy t-shirts of your favourite band. It hasn't changed.
Okay.
It's like, everyone used to say it's all a little bunce money. It was a little money you can kind of like pay for all the things that, you can have a drink and pay for the maintenance of your van. You can kind of like, get some dinner. Survive, not starve to death. And then, merchandise does help a lot now, still.
So you'd say for bands that were starting out, invest some money in that as well as just playing.
Yeah, there's so many different avenues that you can put into that. If you started to kind of create a following, they're going to want to hear your material. And if they're willing to buy your material, then why can't they buy a bit of like, look at my t-shirt, or have a look at my hat. And I wear that because I'm a fan. So it does help in that sense to do. Hence I've got this 12 inches down there.
12 inches down there. I was going to ask you that a bit of a nerdy question, but hey,
Go on, nerd away.
Practicing. Do you still doing a lot? Do you still practice? Have you still got a regular practice
Regime? No.
No.
I did have when I was starting up. I had a real strong practice regime.
Yeah.
But now it's just
But
playing.
you're playing a lot. So
Just
yeah,
playing.
you're just playing.
It's
a
just
lot,
playing.
Yeah.
Playing with someone, playing and just messing about, jamming, or
Yeah.
it's just playing.
Yeah.
You're sort of sitting there, I know people sleep with their basses and get up first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Sit on it like half asleep playing bass. Those days are over.
Yeah.
Get out and play. Come out your bedroom and go and play out.
Yeah.
And that's what you do,
Yeah.
You can't do that. You can get pretty obsessed with it. And a lot of people, like when I'm in Cornwall, I do a lot of youth music as well. I just find that there's so many musicians out there that are just stuck indoors, playing in their bedroom, practicing. You're like, oh mate, come on, out. Here's this drummer. This is a guitarist, keyboard player. Have a jam, and then it sets you up. So practicing is good, but playing is better.
Yeah.
Do you have ambitions, things that you haven't done yet that you'd want to do if you can?
Well, in music or in life in general?
Oh, what have you got?
I don't know. I think I've had a kind of decent, kind of adventurous career. Just kind of like just carry on.
Yeah. That's a good one. I like that.
Yeah.
Grace has got a reputation for being a bit awkward. Is she fun to play with?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, anyone in here don't want to discriminate me or whatever? Don't feel like comment.
If you don't want to comment, don't.
No, of course I comment. She's mad. She's barking. What everyone thinks of her, she's exactly that. She's very shrewd, absolutely musical. I wouldn't believe how musical she is, and she's let a band of 15 years let them do what they want.
Yeah.
Without her saying.
So is there a band leader then? Somebody who's in control of
There's an MD.
An MD, yeah.
Yeah, for the band, and I have a guest.
Yeah.
Is the sort of he put the band together.
Yeah.
So he kind of oversees it when we haven't rehearsed for a while.
What do you think her success is down to then? Is it her old persona or what?
I think the success is doing what she wants to do.
Yeah, does she have a lot of promotion behind her? And
Yeah, she has had. Yeah.
How much of the material does she actually write herself?
She writes quite a bit, a lot of lyrics.
Okay.
Slave to the Rhythm, who did that?
Slave to the Rhythm, I think it was partially her, bit of Trevor Hall, and there was another guy, what's his name? I forgot his name. I'll come back to that.
Music,
Yeah, but she writes a lot of lyrics. It's like Pull Up to the Bumper was written by Sly and Robbie, the music.
Right.
And she wrote the lyrics for that because they had this thing of like, put chocolate all over my body and smother me over the bonnet of the car. She said, you can't do that. Or smother me all over the limousine with chocolate or something. And then she just said that all the groovers, it was like, Yeah, it's like she was. She said that the groove was quite amazing, and she said the lyrics are absolutely shite. So she wrote the lyrics. And then anyone didn't know what the lyrics meant
Yeah.
until latter years. They go,
Yeah.
hold on a minute. Ah. That's it. Yeah, that was it.
Wow.
So they did that, and
Yeah.
the thing about Sly and Robbie, they could sit on that groove for about half an hour,
Yeah, yeah,
maybe an hour,
Yeah.
just doing that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they go, record it, and they capture that whole moment of that whole
Well,
cycle.
did they loop that then? How did they do it? No, they didn't have looping.
They didn't have looping pedals, they just played
They
it.
just played it and just.
Yeah, carried it on until it was right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But that album's all about production, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
interesting
quite-
because
quite.
the little things coming and going out, and it's just amazing.
Yeah,
Because it's, you know, it's like
amazing album.
But the
Yeah.
lyric is massive, isn't it? Pull up to the bumper and it's a great lyric.
Yeah, the lyric, you know, pull up to my bumper with your long black limousine. Yeah.
And she was like a fashion icon as well at the time, wasn't she? She
Yeah.
was striking
Yeah.
persona, so that's really.
You know, she's not as tall as you think she is either.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, because quite often see her in massive, great platforms.
Oh yeah, she'll
And,
hula
and
hoop
so
for those
you
as
think,
well.
and I was thought she was big lady, but made even bigger with the platforms. You
Oh
know?
yeah, she's not that.
And the
Not that.
camera
Not
on the
that
floor.
big, yeah.
So you don't go for a beer with her then?
Oh yeah. Yeah. She'll always invite us back to her hotel after a show. We'll sit up all night having a drink and having a laugh. Sometimes when she's in London when we're rehearsing, she'll invite us back to a pad in London and cook us jerk chicken. We can sit there, have a beer, have a smoke, or whatever, you know, and
Yeah.
she'll just kind of like act like mum.
How old is she now?
75?
So we're cooking for you.
Eh?
So we're cooking for you.
Yeah, too right. Come on, mama, get the chicken on.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, she'll cook, you know, she'll sit down, she'll just cook food for us.
It's
You
great to
right.
know, isn't it? All the ideas that we had in like the 60s about when you're a pop star, you have to retire when you're 30. It's all complete rubbish.
Yeah, it's
You
absolutely
just
bollocks,
go
isn't
on until you're as old as you want to be.
You know, like anyone else, their kind of key dream is to drop on stage, you know,
Yeah.
last performance, and Tommy Cooper,
Yeah.
you know, and she just, you know, just sure sign that it doesn't stop.
So when you're rehearsing new stuff with her, did she ever come up with something that really surprises you?
Well, apart from walking on stage for the first time with hula hooping, and I've
Yeah.
never ever seen it, and we were like, what? She's lost it. Oh, she's rolled on, walked on rolling a hula hoop, and we were just like, we never told anyone.
So it didn't happen in rehearsal?
No, she didn't tell anyone.
Oh, right, okay.
Obscure gig, like big gig,
Yeah.
and she never told anyone. She just walked on with the hula hoop. And we were working around.
That's a great
Yeah. And then she kind of like, we did same sort of rhythm. Starts with the big kind of strings and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And she got up on this platform, stood up on the kind of little stage platform, and went, "Doop," and that was it. And that was history for her.
Yeah. So
And
she
then
must,
she'd walk around with it, doing hula hooping everywhere,
right,
and singing
okay.
the song.
Yeah. So she must have been practicing in private then.
Well, the thing that why she could do it so well, she was a high school champion of hula hooping. I know, she told me darling, you know, I was the high school hula hoop queen. I was like, yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Sounds like a good band to be in, man.
No, it's fun. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah. You know, they're quite amazing musicians. Got Louis Elliott, guitarist. He used to have a band called Rialto back in the day. I don't know if
Yeah.
anyone knows Rialto. There's Charles Stewart, keyboard player. He's played a different kind of like musician is prominent. Andrew McLean, drummer, made the Sugar Babes. There's me, there's Donnie McLean, who's now playing with Peter Gabriel at this moment as we speak. Sending me messages, oh, what's your role? And he's like, yeah, I'm in Ashburn, and you're in Montreal. I'd rather be in Ashburn. And yeah, and that's it really. They're all kind of great musicians, and her son plays percussion. Bassist son is percussionist, singer,
What about
pianist.
backing vocals?
Got two backing vocalists, Alicia and Hannah. They do got a lot of kind of London house stuff, music. They're quite big in the house scene. Yeah. So yeah, they've all got their different things and projects together. So
Because I guess everybody has to have things that they're doing in between tours or.
yeah, you can't just rely on it all.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like someone says, sorry,
Oh, that's okay.
someone says like, you know, so when's your next gig? When's your next tour? And I go, I don't know. So what happens when you get to the next tour? Like, you know, got to live, got to do other things, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And it says, I just always had this, the whole thing is, it's not on until I'm on stage and someone's got a camera flashing this way.
Yeah.
As soon as I know I'm on stage and there's people, oh, we're gigging,
Yeah, yeah.
we're on tour.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, until then, you just get on with your life and get on with what you do.
Yeah.
Do you find as a touring musician, if you're playing in Europe now because of Brexit, it's a lot harder?
It has been when it comes to carnets and things like that. Because, you know, certain places you still probably apply for visas.
Yeah.
But it's the whole carnet scenario.
It
You
is
just
a
end up with that sort of-
No, that's all good. It's just off the back of that, with the idea of keeping busy in between tours. I know I said you commute to London quite a lot. Is there still any jam nights or anything that you hit up when in London?
So that
Is there
gets-
still any jam nights that you hit up when in London, like either house banding or anything like that, or just?
No, it's like, you know, you never get, you've got too much to be getting on with. Sometimes you get invited out after rehearsal or something. We're having a jam up the road. It's fancy coming, and, you know, if you've still got the energy to do it, you go for it.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, living in London, that's all I ever did. I'd always go out. I always said to anybody who was like in London, who was a player, if you want to go out and get into the circuit, and you want to go sweat, blood, sweat and tears, you know, you got to get out there. You got to go and show yourself off. You got to play all the time. You know, there's a jam up the road. I'm going to it. Don't care what it is, who it is, what it is. I'm going to be there. And so that was a lot more in London. You know,
Are you still based in London?
no, in Cornwall. Been
Oh, right.
down there 20 years.
Do you write with other members of her band and offer her a song? Would you ever dare do that, or do you?
I have done. I've worked with a couple of members like Donnie, who's playing Peter Gabriel. I worked with him years before that.
And if you give her a song or offer her a song,
Yeah.
how does
And
that work?
actually, I don't know, because I never tried. No, people have kind of like presented songs to her, but she's quite a hard person to communicate with. You know, someone said, why don't you ring her? I said, what number? We want to try and like, it don't work anymore. She's always getting a different number. She's hard to get in contact with.
So you normally like, does her manager, like when you've got a tour, when you, or either, is he organised the liaison between the band and her, I guess?
Sometimes, yeah. You know, sometimes, but we've got a tour manager who does it. And
Yeah.
the tour manager's been with us for years.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Has there ever been any gig that you turned up and you thought, this is not what I expected?
Manumission in Ibiza.
Right.
We was on this pyramid, and Grace was on the top of this pyramid. It was pretty precarious. It was like scaffolding, and like you could just lean off and fall out. And we weren't expecting that. And it was just full on party downstairs, like, you know, this whole thing.
So that was your Spinal Tap moment?
It was. It was like, what am I doing on a pyramid? What are we all doing on a pyramid? Yeah, I wasn't expecting that at all. But it is Ibiza.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Any questions? Everyone's gone quiet thinking about it.
In
So,
Penryn, there used to be a band I used to really like called the Sex Slaves from Hell.
No, I don't know. No.
They were really good at folk rock.
Are they?
The fiddle player was a really good fiddle player, female fiddle player, I can't remember the name. And Brexit arrived and she jumped on a boat and went aboard.
Really?
Yeah, and I took the band split. I was just wondering if you'd ever seen them. But
No, I haven't, no.
They were really good.
All right. They're not around anymore then?
No.
All right.
Are there any particular bands or bassists that are up and coming that you think are worthy of our attention?
There's a great band called, new band, they're from Penryn, Falmouth, called Web Mobs.
Okay.
And there's a guy called Carol Cooper, he's a multi-instrumentalist, very clever. Plays flute, guitar,
Okay.
keyboards, programs, does all that stuff. It's quite exciting stuff.
Have you seen the big sets?
And a big set,
Big sets. They're from UK.
probably not. No, I'm trying
Dr.
to.
Funk is supposed to be.
Oh no, Dr.
Johnny Regan.
Oh no, Johnny. Yeah.
Yeah.
I sort of mentored Johnny for a little bit.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he was coming, he was asking, getting advice of how he can go further than just playing bass and a looper.
Yeah.
And, I suggested, why don't you get a drummer?
He's never looked back.
He hasn't actually. It's,
His albums.
yeah.
Yeah, really nice albums.
We always keep in touch, and he was kind of, because somebody who's kind of solo looper and stuff, but not, they're self-contained, and he's a busker, and he's done a lot of stuff, and he's a great player. And I said, you've got all these songs, and he was asking what sort of shows you could do. I said, well, Ballmaster is not going to really happen because people are not going to sit there watching you slapping bass for an hour. So you've got to look at the sort of the jazz, sort of funky the kind of spectator sport kind of vibe. You know what I mean? Where people would appreciate that style. And then we started talking, and go get a band together. It's like, drum will be a start. If you can find a guitarist and someone who can play a bit of horns, and now he's starting to sing. Yeah, I know. Yeah, he said, "Oh, we've been put in the corner. I've got to sing." So I told you. You've got to do it all for yourself. Right? Once you front it, then it's easy. Yeah, Dr. Funk is a good one. Don't be shy. Anything else?
Did you find learning slap bass difficult?
Yeah, you have to be really patient. It's a guy here yesterday, remember? He goes, I never slap bass, and he went back. I was like, mate, what are you talking about? You're slapping bass, isn't it? It was quite amazing. He just picked it up and started slapping.
Yeah, it's all really good, huh?
Yeah, he did. And it was like, when you slap, you got that, you got that kind of that side, but really, and he started doing that straight away, and was like, "Oh, having a laugh." He goes, "Oh, I don't know, He got his thumb right, and it's because it's percussion. That's why I learned off Louis Johnson. He was one of my favourite. Wonder Thumpers, and he was. I kind of was watching more of his left hand than his right. It was that kind of. Mark King does it.
Yeah.
That's what he did,
Yeah. So it's mostly triplets.
It's like a triplet. So and then I said, the reason you got it because you're a drummer, and he played drums.
Yeah.
Mark King's a drummer.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
So it was quite. It's not too loud, definitely. It was out yesterday. That was quite nice little amp, these. I'm telling you, I was really surprised. Really good little amp.
Yeah.
For just kind of like plugging in, playing, and doing your thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you like sort of Roscoe Prestia type?
Oh yeah. Oh, Tower of Power.
Yeah.
I saw Tower of Power this year. They were quite incredible.
Oh, because you lived on the same hill, weren't you?
Yeah, like Love Supreme.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was quite an incredible bass player.
Yeah, I'd love to know.
Yeah, love to play it, but it's constant. everything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's just the way he did it was just like unique. Yeah, incredible bass player. Who's your favourite bass player? Come and tell me. Come on, get
J.K. Pastoris.
Oh yeah, of course.
Chris Squire.
Huh?
Chris Squire.
Chris Squire? Yeah, he's a boy.
Oh yeah, and he's loud. He was loud too.
But, you know, the tallest bass player in the country at one point. I think that was.
And then with his son on it the other day.
Oh right.
With
I
some
saw a
Paris.
YouTube clip on it. Yeah.
He was doing an old Stanley Clark song.
Who else?
Mark
Yeah.
Galen
Miller.
Dorsey.
Leanne Dorsey. Galen Dorsey.
Yeah, yeah.
Bass player.
Yeah.
Yeah. Michelle Andicello. Have you heard of her? What about you? Quiet. What bass players do you like?
I like the bass player from Gorillaz. I don't know their real name, but I know Murdoch as the character.
As the character,
Yeah, I like their bass lines because Phil Giving is like one of those. Like,
yeah,
punk
quite
ones.
incredible bass lines. Yeah, the sound as well. It's a really nice sound.
Because that's a tune down to an E.
That's
flat,
right.
yeah.
That's an E flat. Yeah.
It's
You
a
know?
good teacher kid.
Yeah. What about yourself?
Flea from.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, just his energy, you know, and passion.
I have no idea. It's more guitar in our house than bass, but I wanted to come and find out a bit more.
That's good. Ooh,
I know,
guitarist
I
venturing out.
Listen to lots of tracks and just love the bass. So, but I couldn't tell you who my favourite player was. No.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I remember seeing the Red Hot Chili Peppers for the first time when they played the Town and Country Club in Kentish Town in London. And it was funny because the whole stage was fluorescent, with all fluorescent spray paint painted. It was like a Pollock gone in UV. And they turned up, jumped on stage, and they were painted in UV with only wearing socks and a knot on their feet.
Yeah, they're brilliant. That's so brilliant.
They were amazing. Quite incredible energy. It was quite, Town and Country Club. It just blew the roof off of it.
You know, he has chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, and he still performs. He had to take a year out because of it.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, there are quite a lot of people do like Lady Gaga as well. But yeah, it's amazing. You can still do these things and have that much energy, but you just save it up, right? And that's probably why he's
stack
such a
it up,
nutter.
Just like a little cold spring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spends a week in bed and then just comes
Go
out
for
and
it.
gives it his everything. 'Cause
Yeah,
that's
go
what he
back to
lives
bed, have a
for.
little rest.
Yeah.
And what amps do you all use? I'd be curious to know.
One of those.
Mark bass. I was talking about a Mark bass I used once. It was a combo like this, but it had 3 speakers in it.
Right.
I haven't seen them again since. It was like a bit bigger, and it was set at like 3 10s. One there, one there, one there. It was quite a weird arrangement, an array of like the 10s in it, and it was amazing sound. Yeah.
Just so light. Trace Elliott.
Trace Elliott.
Yeah.
I like that. Trace Elliott's were good at the time.
Yeah, they're too heavy.
They just weighed a ton, yeah. Now you got these all microlight cabs and amps that you can just pick up with your finger, which is handy. But that's a big line. Can't imagine picking up an 8 10 by finger.
What big strings do you use? What,
45, 105.
45 to 105.
Yeah, and I use flat wounds.
I use flat
Okay.
wounds.
Yeah, if you want to come and have a try at this, you're all welcome. You want to have a go?
Let's
have a feel of it. It's all right, one bite. Well, it might do. But you can actually feel what the flat wounds feel like. I'll turn the volume down. This one.
Wow, it's a completely different sound because I use round wound strings, the round.
Yeah, it's totally different sound. So once you play it, you get hooked on flat wounds, yeah. Have you anyone else tried flat wounds before?
Yeah,
just want to
Sure.
have a little.
Seriously, you have a feel, you don't have to
Is that all
play.
right, Malcolm? Is that
Yeah,
all
you
right?
can do what you do, you know.
Welcome. Have you got tapeworms before?
Huh?
You tried tapeworms? You tried tapeworms?
Oh yeah. Now hard to come by.
I'll be in touch.
Oh,
I've got
no.
to sign off.
Oh.
Have a seat in a minute afterwards.
Where are you?
Bill.
Well, you
Yeah.
showed. Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Right,
See
Henry.
something, something. Yeah.
Nice one. Yeah, I like that. They're sort of they're elites.
Want to come by next
Ah,
time?
come on.
Yeah, it's 11 some blade like that. Swiss guitar.
Yeah, the
like that.
blade. Have you had that for a while?
That's probably about 16 years old, 15, 16 years old.
Very bright, isn't it?
Yeah, which I quite like, but
You
you
like
know,
it right?
but it's because I'm using active, I can adjust whatever sort of preamp, how the preamp operates. You know, if I can, you know, if that's, you know, it depends how you play it. Again, it's about these, really.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Like, and plus this is that. Wow, my. That's your pickups. That's my treble. Bass. So I just put bass. You can hear that kind of just dull.
Some days,
Yeah.
I think you're just taking the top off there, basically. Yeah.
Just put the bass on. No, top
Oh, you've
was
got a
up.
bass amp, you've got a bass boost, and
Yeah, the treble bass.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's treble on it, but it's not as much as you want.
Yeah.
That's a bit of Stratus there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I played for Massive Attack as well.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, that was a story and a half. Yeah, that was back in '91 when I was 1990, and I was working with Nana Cherry at the time.
Okay.
Yeah. And we did this program, a live show for the Terence Higgins Trust in London, and it was myself, Nana, and her brother Eagle Eye Cherry. So he was playing piano,
Yeah.
and we done this kind of like Trouble Man by Marvin Gaye. If you ever know that track, we did a version of that. We interpreted and did a version of that for the show. And after that show, she was married to a guy called Cameron McVeigh. And he came up to me, he says, oh, well, you know, I saw you've been working with Andrew Oliver as the cook pundit. You know, the cook, the big burly kind of jolly cook, on BBC One for food. Well, we used to be in a band together, and I got a band together before back in the day. He said, oh, you don't know Andrew Oliver? You don't know this band? I've got this new band for him. They're from Bristol, and they're called Massive Attack. They haven't got a clue about going out playing live. Could you put a band together for it? And I was like, oh yeah, all right. And that's how it began with Massive Attack.
Wow.
And that Blue Lines album was the first album. And I was trying to watch 3D, trying to play these notes so it looked correct what he was playing when he was on Top of the Pops. Because you're going to get the train spotters watching you, what you're doing. And he's like, I said, no, you play G, make sure you do it there, don't let it go over here because they'll know. And we put a band together for it, and it was like, that's how I worked with them for about a year.
Wow.
And then they split up.
How did you avoid playing in cover bands? Or did you just say no?
I just said no.
That was the sort of thing you held on to all your career, really. Just I'm not doing it, you know, weddings and stuff. So.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know. I love playing other songs, but I didn't want to be kind of roped into doing covers. I just couldn't, because once you get in the cover circuit, you're in the cover circuit, and you can't get out. And I just thought, you know, I like an adventure. I want to go and do something else. Though.
Well, it must have been a hard time sometimes when you thought, oh, it's 100 quid or whatever.
Yeah.
You never kind of got to that point.
The only covers band I've ever been in is Grace Jones, really.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
No, that probably opened the doors for you.
Yeah. I know. Well, I think covers is it's a good thing. I had a band called the Friday Funk Social Club, and it lasted about, I don't know, 5-6 months in Cornwall.
Yeah.
And a few of us got together and we did the most obscure funk numbers that you could ever imagine that no one would know. And we just jammed them, and it became like quite a big party thing. It was quite lengthy instrumentals and get people dancing.
But you never had to have early living, like, is it?
No.
Saying,
Oh, yeah, you know, and the thing about Cornwall, no funny, I love my Cornish people, but if you do it for one price, everyone knows.
Yeah, yes.
And you're absolutely screwed.
Yeah.
I'll do you a favour, I'll do it for a score. The whole county knows about it. I don't care if you play for Grace Jones, you're going to do it for a score. So that was another thing.
The way around it.
Yeah, you know, and it was
Learn happy birthday in minor.
yeah, exactly. But that's, you know, that was me. I just didn't take to it. I just refused
Well,
it.
sometimes you don't have a choice, do you?
I'll do something else.
They just do something else rather.
Yeah,
Well,
you
you
know,
just
I'd
like it
rather,
that much.
you know, if someone's asking me to do kind of covers bands and get on the circuit, I'd rather go and do youth work and
Yeah.
teach people doing youth music or any other field in music and that to work.
And that might lead to something, you know.
Yeah.
Are you still involved with DBS?
No, I'm not. They moved out from Camborne. I used to run a thing called the Youth Music Sessions. And basically DBS Music that were based in Plymouth. They had a complex in Camborne.
Do you know Josh Leonard Williams?
Danny Williams.
Josh Leonard Williams.
Josh Williams.
Leonard Williams. No, he was just a teacher down there.
Oh, what?
You've still got a studio down there in Penrith, a little
Me?
programming room or something?
I've got a little room, you know, I use very minimal kit. I like being minimalist, but I got a studio. I use the Airfield Studios, you know, Joe Partridge.
Yeah.
And I've done quite a lot of work in there. So that's in St. Mirren.
Have you ever got into a real argument about an arrangement where you said, no, it ought to be like this, and some other player was like, yeah, it ought to be like this?
Oh yeah, there's been lots of door slammings and walkouts and stuff.
What happens when you get in with a real bad drummer or something? This guy, but you know.
Oh, if it doesn't work, you mean?
Yeah.
Get a drum machine.
Yeah, you just go for the next, you know, but, you know. It's so, you know, it's a trick of kind of, there's a way to present, to work with people. You don't treat them because they're not good for you, they could be good for someone else. You know, it's like Louis Elliott, who plays with us now. When he was younger, he used to play in the band with me, with Andrew Oliver.
Oh, right, okay.
And Andrew said to me, he's not funky enough. He's got to go. Could you tell him, like, you know, thanks and all that? And I'm like, why me? You want to play anything? It's your band. And he goes, but you stay, and I set it up. So I told like Lou, I said, like, you know, Lou, I love you and all that, you know, but it's not really working as far as what was needed for the songs. And then like years have gone by, and he said, one time he said to me, you know that time you fucking fired me, you fucker. I was like, yeah, how could I forget? And he was like, that was the best thing you did, ever. That just kind of inspired me to go off, and he started a band called Kinky Machine. Became big, and then Rialto, which was like a massive, became a massive band. And I only found out yesterday they were huge in South Korea.
So they're to blame for all the
abs-
K-pop.
Oh, yeah, it was like the original kind of, that was it, you know, Britpop, K-pop version. It was huge in South Korea, massive. So that was like, you know, you have to be the right kind of technique to tell people to go do a jump, you know.
Yeah.
You've got to give them confidence that they're good enough,
Yes.
but they're not good for this.
No.
You know, don't say you're not shit, but you know,
Yeah.
You have to be diplomatic.
you have to be very diplomatic.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of that.
Yeah, you get picked a lot of jobs as well. You think, you know, the way you go about things is hugely important. You know, your attitude.
You know, you have to be, you have to, that's why, you know, I've done, you know, certain lectures apart from the fact that say, so what do you want to do? You want to get into music? My advice, don't do it. You know, if you're going to take it as a career, be prepared for the real ups and downs in life. If you really, 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 really want to take it on, be prepared. This is going to happen. if it kind of hits you once and you can't deal with it, leave it alone. Just put it down. Just play at home. Do your own little thing. Just get out what you're doing. But if you try to take it seriously and you get that first knock when it's serious and you can't deal with it, then leave it alone.
Yeah, but it's like Prince and that. Do you think they just got so obsessed with the whole thing it just sort of ate them to death in the end? I mean, what happened to that guy?
Well, Prince.
Prince.
He didn't he have he had a medical problem, didn't he? And because of his religion, he wouldn't take
Medications and stuff.
medication or
Yeah.
something like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, because he was, I think he was like Mormon or something.
It's a Mormons
Yeah.
that do that, yeah.
And so he wouldn't take the medication to. So he was in incredible pain. I think he had problems with his.
It was always hips.
His hips.
Yeah, because
yeah.
Prince wore heels all of his career.
Yeah.
Like big heels all of his career.
So Grace Jones has got good hips.
Yeah. All that hula hooping, right?
Yeah.
With heels.
Has she ever had a
Told Prince.
mishap on stage through that?
Huh?
Has she ever had a mishap on stage? through
Oh,
that?
she not hula hooping, but she's had mishaps on stage. Yeah, there was one time she's a cherry picker. Not too high. It was just about this height. The top of it was this height from us when we were standing. Me and Andrew were playing a track, and I had. And I thought, what the fuck is he doing? What sort of lick is that? Looked down, it's Grace Jones in between me and the drummer. She's come off. Basically, she's doing this thing, and she's put her foot up, and then the other foot went underneath, and she slid underneath the scaffold and landed in between me and the drummer.
Wow.
So I'm playing, so I'm like turned around, I'm sort of tapping, playing, looking at her, saying, "Are you right?" And she was just had this look on her face, and I thought, "Oh God, she's dead."
Carry on.
She's dead.
That was a tune flow.
And the drummer, the drummer was like pulling all these mics back because she kicked everything over. And he's still playing with one hand, pulling the mic over, pulling the hi-hat back. And I was trying to pick up Grace, tapping. And then she picked her up, and I said, "Are you alright?" She got up. She goes, "I'm alright, darling." She gave me a hug, gave me a kiss, and went back to it. And we were like, "Oh God, she died." And when we looked behind it, when we looked underneath the cherry pick, there's a huge fan. She could have quite easily got into that. It's bonkers, man. Fearless. Absolutely. Yeah.
What's your because I know you said you did, was it producing bands and music? What's your favourite program? Because I like to use Logic, but
I use Logic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always used Logic. Logic used to be when I was starting to learn how to use bits of kit. I was using a lot of MIDI stuff,
Pro Tools.
Yeah, Atari.
Yeah.
I was an Atari man. There was a games console called Atari. And we used to use programs. They started developing little music programs like Notator, eMagic was Cubase, and Notator ended up being Logic, which is owned by eMagic. Yeah, that's the original Logic Pro. But I use Logic Pro. It's easy. It's just record.
Yeah, you can just use the keyboard. And
But if you want to get technical and techno with it, it's easy to use as well. But I just like instant recording. I'm a 4-track person. I've had a port studio.
it's easier to cut and paste with that one as well.
Yeah.
It's great.
Instantly.
It's great value too, isn't it, Logic? Because you pay once for life, and it's a cheap price. It's much better value than the other one.
I thought Pro Tools is great, but Pro Tools is quite expensive when it was first coming out. It was you pay for a module, and it was better mortgage the house. It was quite expensive to create channels for.
Do you miss analog tape?
Oh yeah, I was the tape op once.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. In London, in Oxford Square.
I was at Wave Studios.
Yeah, Kuma Harada.
Yeah, I know Kuma.
Yeah, I
Well,
worked
did.
with Kuma.
Yeah.
And I learned to be a tape op and
Oh,
I
right.
had to do proper edits.
Yes, yes.
Cutting tapes,
Yeah.
splicing them, retaping them.
Yeah.
On the beat, cut.
Yeah.
I did a
Did
tape
all that.
editing course there at Hoxton Square.
Did you?
Yes, many years ago.
Yeah, I worked in Kumar's studio.
Yeah.
You know Kumar's.
Yeah, I
right?
do. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Great bass player.
Yeah, exactly. He played down here a couple of years ago.
Did he
With
really?
James Lascelles, do you know James?
I know James. Yeah, I know his brother Martin.
Oh right, okay.
I worked with Martin a long
Oh
time.
right. Well, I had a band with James called Slaves to the Rhythm.
Did you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Many years ago, and Kumar was occasionally in it. When he was
Yeah,
living and
Kumar.
stuff.
Bless him. Yeah, miss him. Yeah, he gave me my first taste of this is how you can be a tape op, and even like working on the old big kind of consoles.
Yeah.
You know, you had to record like mark off and
Yeah.
what has to be recorded, what channels, and you got to put tape on. I miss it.
Yeah. Do you find it's like too easy to get the perfect result now? Whereas before you really had to know your stuff.
You had to really know.
You couldn't slice it all day.
No, you couldn't do it all day. No, you really had to know what you were doing. I do miss it. I miss the kind of quality of it. It's a different kind of quality. of
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. Very much so.
Kind of missed, yeah. But again, like there was an argument about it. It's you're using analog to record and everything else, but it's been digitised.
Yes.
And that was what's the point? There was that whole argument.
Yes. Yes.
Now it's gone digital and it's completely digital. But Logic Pro is the best one to use, I think. Yeah. What do you use? What audio interface do you use?
There's just the software instrument, and
Right.
then sometimes I record like bass into it. But then because I use it sometimes at school and then sometimes at home because we do student music GCSE, so we have to do some of the cutting up for that. But
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? Yeah, I've always loved music Logic. Taught myself again. There was a stage in my career where people weren't hiring bass players as much as often because of the dance music movement, and so there was a lot of synth, a lot more programming, and a lot more things went on. And it was like, I'm not going to break my neck. I'm going to try and follow the flow and learn for myself, and then learn how to engineer. Taught myself engineering. Got a few kind of leaning over the shoulders, watching how they did it. And I learned how to program. Use Logic and stuff. Good choice. Yeah, nice day today. I like this place. I can sit in all day.
Any advice for somebody releasing a debut album?
Releasing the debut album, make sure you've got a good quality master of it. Make sure you're happy with it. Like, happy with it. You don't want to go out and then it's like, oh, too late.
Yeah.
Be patient with it. Don't rush it because all your mates go, oh, don't get it out. Be patient with it. Watch the production. If you can't master yourself, I've always said, go to the person who knows what they're doing.
Yeah. I've
Because
got
you can spend years trying to perfect a mastering technique or how to master or mix. Sometimes it's good to go to find someone else to do it for you.
For sure. I've got a guy who I've been in contact with, and he's been doing that, and it's been a really fun process.
Yes.
So far.
I think it gives you a bit more scope about what you can hear for yourself, because sometimes you miss things. You got it all printed out, but you miss something, and someone who can come in and mix it in, you think, oh shit, I didn't realise that was that, and bring it out and make it colour. So sometimes on the other side of it, it's better to use someone else. But some people are really clever show-offs. They do it all on their own. Yeah, but that's what I would advise. My album, I sort of kind of used John Cornfield. He mastered it for me, and Paul Reeve, he helped me remix it and mix it. He's with Muse, he's worked for Muse and stuff like that. So he helped me get it. I was like, bloody hell, Paul. You must be thinking, you must have plugged into my brain this is the exact sound I want. And it was great like that. So sometimes you have to pay a little bit more, but it's not better.
For sure.
Are there a lot of people
Excuse us,
who
we're
can...
back here in an hour and we've got to do something else in between tonight.
Okay.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, nice to meet you. Cheers.
Are there a
Turn
lot...
around the door.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Round
really
it off.
sorry.
Oh yeah. Everyone's looking at
It's
him
like
around. Well, I've got this is like done. This is 3 track EP for the album. You can hear what the kind of production and sounding on it is like. So.
Yeah, I've got a CD.
No. Or you can go online and you can go on Spotify and you'll find the album on Spotify. The album's called Ground. And that's the vinyl, which I thought, I might as well stick an EP on vinyl there. I haven't done the album because it was just like by that time the whole, you know, Brexit, but the whole COVID thing and distribution chain had just melted down. So when you were trying to kind of designate a date to have a release date, you had to put another 6 months on top of it because that's how long it was.
Yeah.
And it was just really expensive for anyone to have a yield like
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you all came.
Thank
So
you.
I hope I've been pretty informative.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
You know, it's just a little journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, next week if you want it.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, Martin.
Yeah, lovely to meet you all. And enjoy the festival. Yeah, thank you. Different insight. I know, I always do that. I always think, I don't really want you to play bass. I want to hear them do. I want to hear what you're all about. How do you do this? How do you start that? How do you, you know, that's what I'm like when I've been somewhere like Thundercat, I make Thundercat.